Here's mine.
Great.
What is that? W40?
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us here tonight for our program, Music Travels, with Doc Severinsen and Gutierrez. Start beginning with introducing Hill here first. Oh, and before I jump into that, let me just say at the outset, I wish to thank both NJ Pack and their sponsor of their jazz series, TD Bank, for this opportunity to host this program. Thank you so much. So, Oaxaca-born guitarist and composer Hill Gutierrez has made his home in San Miguel de Allende for many years. After studying classical guitar in the Benito Juarez Autonomous University in Oaxaca, Mr. Gutierrez's interests spread to many musical genres such as jazz, flamenco, and son cubano. Hill has toured South America and Spain with Ana Gabriel, Ricardo Aronja, Francisco Cepedes, and Pedro Guerra, and he has also composed music for notable films. Since 2007, Hill has directed and performed in more than 60 concerts with the legendary trumpeter Doc Severinsen and the San Miguel Five, appearing with symphony orchestras across the United States. In 2011, they presented their unique program at New York City's Carnegie Hall, accompanied by the New York Pops. Hill has performed as a guest soloist with the Minneapolis and the Florida Symphonies, amongst others. Also of note, Arturo Sandoval invited the guitarist to perform as a special guest soloist at the Mexico City Palace of Fine Arts. So please join me in welcoming to our program, Hill Gutierrez.
Thank you very much for having me here and inviting me. Thank you.
And I apologize in advance for my Spanish not being as good as I wish it were.
It's almost perfect.
Okay. I need to spend more time in Mexico and elsewhere to brush up on it. Anyway, let me now introduce the person who probably needs no introduction at this point, obviously. Doc Severinsen is a legendary musician, band leader, and entertainer. He was heard and seen nightly by millions of fans watching The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson for 3 decades. He literally pioneered the model for all who have since followed in leading Tonight Show bands and late night show bands, I should say. In 2006, when Doc moved to San Miguel de Allende in Mexico, ostensibly to retire from performance, within weeks he was jamming with the magnificent guitarist Hill, and this resulted in an incredible collaboration that is ongoing. He now tours regularly with Hill in a quintet called the San Miguel Five, performing a mix of Latin and gypsy jazz and standards to exceptional acclaim. They have released a number of recordings together, with their most recent one entitled Oblivion. Now please join me in welcoming the legendary Doc Severinsen. Thank you. Yeah, it's a great, I want to say at the outset, it's a great honor to have you both on the show, and I appreciate and thank you tremendously for both being here this evening with us.
Same here. Thank you for having us here. It's an honor to be with Mr. Severinsen and you said, thank you.
Thank you. I guess I'll start out, if I may, with asking you a question, Doc. You know, I guess historically, trumpeters have been so vital to the history of jazz on so many levels, not only as consummate musicians and great band leaders, but also truly iconic entertainers. I'm thinking of Louis Armstrong and Dizzy Gillespie, among others. I understand Louis Armstrong's music. Was it Louis Armstrong's music that first inspired you to want to play the trumpet?
Actually, that is not the way I remember it.
Okay.
I was about 6 or 7 years old, and some neighbors in this little town in Eastern Oregon, place called Arlington, population at that time was at its peak, 600 people.
Wow.
And some neighbors were cleaning out their basement and they found an old army bugle. And they said, oh, look here. I bet little Doc would have a ball with this thing. He hadn't got a mouthpiece, but let's give it to him. So they brought it over, and they didn't tell me it didn't have a mouthpiece. I just put it up and started playing it. And I was getting complaints from everybody in town. Tell that kid to stop with that noise. And that was how I got started. And then my father, of course, tried to get me to play the violin, and that wasn't going to work out. So he got me a trumpet, and I'm sure glad he did.
Wow. It's amazing that you just knew and people know. I wonder if Hill, you had a similar experience with the guitar, that you just knew that was the instrument you wanted to play.
Well, not really. I started doing, sculpture and painting when I was 9. And then I went to the school and I discovered the cello. I like the cello. And then I didn't have a cello to practice. So I moved to the piano, and I didn't have a piano. And it was, a line waiting for practicing. So the easiest was the guitar. So everybody has a guitar in the house. So someone lent me one, and it's how I started doing it when I was 14.
Wow. Incredible. So, well, I was asked, Doc, in terms of your, I don't know, you had such a distinct and unique personality on the Tonight Show, of course, and it's, as legendary as your trumpet playing and everything, what you brought to that show with Johnny Carson, and how you, as a result of your performance, your playing, you're being a virtuoso trumpet player, but also being so gregarious and such a great entertainer, that allowed you to really be part of the show. And up until then, a lot of times, right, music was more on shows in the background, if you will, and you were able to, on late night TV every night, you were introduced just along with Johnny. After Johnny was introduced and came out, he always went and talked to you and checked in with you and introduced you and the band. And I think that really has helped to change how music was viewed, also in how it was utilized on late night shows, of course. But your personality and that persona, did that happen, or just come to pass organically for you? Was it something where you had a particular inspiration as a band leader for your, be it your outfits, or how you just had fun out front? You were obviously playing serious music, but you had so much fun doing it, and that was contagious.
Well, it wasn't planned exactly that I would do, take up the trumpet and be a band leader. But I can remember this little town that I lived in, I went to work in a local clothing store, and the boss was, he was always kind of getting into me, he teasing me, Jim Reinhardt. And he was a good guy too. And he said, "Now, what the hell are you going to do when you grow up?" And I said, "Well, that's easy. I'm going to be a band leader." He said, "What? You got enough nerve to sit there and talk like that?" I said, "Yeah, that's what I want to be. That's what I want to be. I want to be a band leader like Paul Whiteman, who was hugely popular at that time." And he laughed and he said, "This is all while I'm working in his clothing store, sweeping up and a little of everything." But it wasn't that I had planned or talked about with anybody. But when somebody said, "What do you want to be when you grow up, Doc?" I said, "I want to be a band leader." And I wasn't quite sure what that really meant, you know.
Right. Wow. And then ultimately early on, you ended up, obviously, I know in high school, you were recognized for your gifts as a trumpet player. You ended up being, I think you could correct me if I'm wrong, but like in first chair trumpeter in school early on, and then ultimately you ended up early on going on the road with Charlie Burnett, right? Was that your first?
No, the first band that I went on the road with, I was still in high school. And they came through Portland, Oregon, which is about 150 miles away. The war had just started. It was all the guys of an age to play in a band were being drafted.
Mhm.
But I had already played in Portland in a dance band in a big ballroom. And then I'd gone back to finish my senior year in high school up in Arlington, and I got a call. They said, Ted Fiorito's band is playing here at Jan's Beach. And I said, yeah. He said, they need a trumpet. They want you to come down. They want to meet you. And so I went down, and I think I played for them. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Uh, it all worked out fine with Ted. And by the way, he was very, very well known at that time. You know, he wrote a lot of big hit songs, and he had a hotel type band that played in big, big hotels and and theaters and things like that. So when he asked me to join the band, I said, okay.
Wow.
I was still a senior in high school, and I went back and asked my principal, A. Odin Haas. I said, A. Odin, uh, what can I do about this? He said, you got a chance to go on the road and make a living as a musician. You go and do it. He
Wow.
said, the only thing you got to do before you can leave, you have to finish your studies that will qualify you to be a graduate.
Yeah.
And he told me what it was, and I took the books on the road with me. And when the other guys were going to the bar to get a drink, I was going in the dressing room and doing my homework.
Right.
And that was very thoughtful on the part of different people that figured, well, especially the principal of our school, he said, Doc, let's face it, you already know what you're going to do. You're going to be a musician.
Right.
Go do it. And so I always was very grateful to him for kind of pushing me along.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah. That's awesome. And incredible that that you had a principal that that had that viewpoint to help you launch your career, basically your professional career then.
Yeah. He could have said, no, you can't do that. Because legally, I still had to go to school.
Right.
So you just take your books with you and study and outline your lessons and send them in to me, and that'll be that.
Wow. That's awesome. And so the artists then that some of the other musicians in the band obviously were older than you, but they as is often the case in this music, they kind of took you under their wing, kind of mentored you, kind of helped to teach you the ropes, so to speak.
Each in their own way.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. And they told me, we're going to show you the ropes, boy.
Yeah,
and they really did.
you had to grow up fast.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But that was a wonderful experience with really good players in that band, and at that time, all of the big bands were well known, and you know, they
Sure.
had good players and all of that.
Yeah, and able to tour too, which is not easy, and even to the, and of course this day for
Nothing that a fifth of whiskey wouldn't take care of.
yeah. Understood.
That's the
Well,
first thing they taught me on the first day in the band. Buck Scott said, "Well, goddamn boy, I'm gonna teach you how to drink." He takes out a fifth of whiskey, and every night Buck and I would get it on.
Oh.
Well,
and that was after the performance, or that was before the performance?
before, during, and after.
Okay. Wow. Yeah, that's
I wish I had known at the time that I was an alcoholic.
mm,
I had alcoholic behavior, but like all kids in high school, you had to sneak out behind the school, and
sure.
or maybe that isn't the way they do it, but it's the way
Right.
we did.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I found out at a fairly early age uh, that I was an alcoholic. That's all there was to it.
Right.
And it made it very easy because uh, the guys from AA explained to me, here's the deal. You are an alcoholic. And they said, if you don't do something about it, essentially your life is just going to go like this.
Right.
You're going to go right in the toilet. You're not going to have any success. And if you're willing to think about stopping drinking, you got to do it on your own. You know, go by what we say.
Sure.
And it was one of the best days of my life. I'll tell
Wow.
you that.
That's incredible. Right. Yeah. That's so, you're so fortunate to have people around you that assisted you like that, or early on, and that you knew that you had a lot in front of you that you wanted to pursue and do. So it's incredible, and that's a lesson, a life lesson right there. And
It isn't easy to convince a fairly healthy teenage person that they're alcoholic.
sure.
But somehow, the minute they said it, a siren went off, and I said, "Holy God, these guys ought to know," because
Yeah.
they were all alcoholics.
Right.
And they took me under the wing, and it's one of the big days of my life.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, and thank you for being open and sharing that information. That's be helpful to
You
others.
want to know something? I didn't share anything that's going to do me any good there, and it's not a wonderful thing to do. But some kid watching this program right now, or it could be an older man,
Sure.
here's a story, and he says, "Why watch that guy on the Tonight Show? He looked like he was fine to me. My God, he's a drunk." And people tell me I am. Maybe I ought to look into it.
Mm,
And I've been able to help a few people that way.
yeah. Well, I mean, that's another thing I was going to get to a little later, but the fact that you've been so instrumental in mentoring and sharing your incredible musical knowledge, both as a band leader, as a trumpeter with so many, and that's been a big part of your service in the music. It has been passing on your great knowledge. And there were some beautiful moments. And for those of you who haven't seen it, I highly recommend you seeing and checking out the PBS documentary Never Too Late, which is the story of Doc Severinsen. It's a beautifully done documentary. But you'll see within that, of course, they touch upon and show your giving master classes and working with some students. And I guess in part, that is something that probably keeps you young and inspired and keeps you musically in shape yourself, I suppose, is being able to pass it on and being around young people, aspiring musicians coming up. Is that correct?
Well, I think all those things help, you
Yeah.
know. As long as you keep your mind open, keep your mouth shut and your mind open, and wonderful things can happen.
Right. That's a very good point. Well, Hill, I'd love to get into Hill discussing, because as I noted at the outset, Doc had plans to come to where you were in San Miguel and the Allende and basically, retire and live out some wonderful years in the sun and enjoyable area of San Miguel there. And he happened upon hearing your group performing there. Can you speak to this initial meeting and what happened when you guys first met?
Well, that was a wonderful time for me, getting to know Doug, an honor in my life and the best thing that
Hill,
ever happened.
Hill, just a minute. I'm watching, and I'm going to straighten this out after you finished with it.
That's good. I like that. You remember Suzanne Kasky knocking at your door every day and say, you gotta come and listen to this band. These guys are good. Every single day she was knocking at your door.
Yeah.
And
I'd forgotten about that part of it.
yeah, she was knocking and she brought you some CDs and things like that. And one day you say, oh, this lady next door is bothering me. So your grandchild's, everybody was visiting you and they say, okay, let's kill a beer, 2 beers, birds. You take your family and you went to listen to us at this restaurant, Bella Italia. And then we met there and you enjoyed the music. I was playing and then I went to the bar and I was sitting there. You approached to me and started talking and I didn't know who you were. And we talked like about 20 minutes and then I say, I gotta go back and play more. And you say, by the way, my name is Doc Severinsen. And I say, well, nice to meet you. And I walk away. I didn't know that. Oh, I'm sorry, Doc.
And do you have?
He gets home and his wife asks him, how was the evening? Fine. There's this guy there. And he says he's a musician. I never heard of him. She says, did he tell you his name? And he says, yeah, something like Doc Severinsen or something like that. And she was a bona fide American and still is. And said, she said, do you know who that was? And he says, no, he's okay. She says, he's a well-known trumpet player.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
And that led to my sitting in with Heel and the guys.
Yeah, you start coming but she say, Google him, go and watch it on YouTube. And I was like, oh my God, it's Doc Severinsen. Jesus. Amazing. Yeah. So we start getting together, be friends, and go out for lunch and dinners for 4 or 5 hours. That was so much fun until we start playing together. He asked me, what is your next project? And I said, well, we're recording this album. And I asked him, would you like to play in that? And say, yes, of course. So we start doing that. And then we continue to have dinners and meals and, getting together for lunch. And he asked me, what do you want to do next? What is your project, And I say, I would like to go to United States, but, I'm playing with this Cuban violinist and we need a recommendation letter if you can help us. And he asked me, are you sure you want to go to the United States? And I say, yeah. And he said, well, let me check it out. And I call you next week sometime. So when he calls me back, I was there and say, you have a pencil and paper? I say, yeah. And say, write it down. And he gave me a date. It was like 6 months ahead, of time. And he said something about Memphis, Tennessee. And he said, what about it? He said, we're gonna play with the symphony there. I said, what? And he said, yeah, we just have to work on the music now. So that was our first encounter there. And since then, it was amazing playing with all these symphonies and with the best trumpet player.
Right.
Fantastic.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah, so that's not exactly starting off small.
Oh,
Going right
no.
to working with the project with orchestras. That's incredible.
Yeah, well, and Doug is amazing conducting and playing and, keeping everything alive and together.
Yeah, you how has it been? Because you have a doc, obviously a gift as both a band leader, conductor, arranger, right, and trumpet player, and some of those things. Any one of those things could have been just your sole function as an artist, but to rise to the top in keeping all that together at the same time. I know it was important to you. Were you were allowed leeway with respect to the Tonight Show to be able to play your trumpet in addition to conducting the band? I take it, was that always how you wanted it to be, or something that evolved as a band leader? Was there ever a moment where you were thinking, I'll put the trumpet down and I'll just lead the band? I can't imagine that, but I'm just curious.
Never.
Yeah.
Going back to my childhood, and people said, what do you want to be? I said, I want to be a band leader because I didn't know any better. And then I got started on the trumpet, and the trumpet, either you don't do so well and you kind of wind up putting it on the side, or it takes over your life.
Mhm.
And the trumpet took over my life. And, that's really the only thing I ever really wanted to do was just to be able to make a living as a trumpet player and go out and play.
Right.
And that's exactly what we did when in San Miguel.
Hmm.
I think Heel invited me to sit in, or he said, well, if I have to, I'll ask him. Do you remember, Heel, how that went?
Yeah, no, we were talking about that we're recording that album, that 4 tunes. At the En Mi Corazón, and I remember going to the studio, and you recall, you hear for the first time what I was doing, and you told me that song is from Noro Morales, and I know him in New York, and I played that in 1940 something, and I was like, what? Wow. So we started working on that, and you come almost every weekend to listen to the music until you say, I know everything by memory. So you see, I said, so come over and play with us. And that was so much fun since then, all the time. Surprising. Everybody was like, Doc Severinsen is in town. Wow.
Well, one thing that helped there is that a lot of the people that came to the restaurant, and it was a huge place. What would it hold over 1,000 people, right, Heel?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah. Yeah.
and also all of these Americans and Canadians came there to eat, and they'd heard that I was there, and they knew me as the band leader of the Tonight Show band. And so a lot of them started showing up. And, and the guy that owned the restaurant still didn't have any idea if I really played a trumpet or what I did or who I was. You'd tell about it, Hill.
Yeah. No, that guy is his name is Paolo, and he didn't remember on recalling you, watching you on the TV. And, they, in that time, your family come and my wife come and everybody was sitting there, but he didn't get paid. He didn't, he was doing for a pleasure and for a dinner.
That's great. Well, hey, I have let me ask you, Hill, because I have some music from Emmy Corazon queued up, and I don't know. We can start with. Would you like to start with Gabriel's oboe or
Oh,
Mirage?
yeah, that's a beautiful intro by Doc.
Okay, all right. Let me get that going here, and all right. Here it goes. So, do you some memories of that session that you can share, Doc or Hill, about that first time recording together?
Yeah, well, I remember we already have the recording done like that, but not with that introduction. And Doc suggests to start it like that because it's beautiful, with long reverb. It sounds, the original composition by Ennio Morricone has this oboe sound, but I think with the trumpet sounds magnificent, and the way that Doc plays is beautiful. Really, feel the skin still. And when we play it with the orchestra, with the full orchestra, was amazing all the time.
Wow.
I don't know if you agree, Doc.
Well, the thought that just came into my mind, when we moved to Mexico, I felt like, well, my music life might be over. This, so I'll find something to do. And uh, then I walk in and hear these guys playing, and I'm thinking, I need to be up there with these guys.
Yeah.
And it was the start of a whole new chapter in my life as a trumpet player.
Mm.
And I'm proud of all the things that we did together and the way all the guys played. Heel was a wonderful band leader. He was the one that put it all together.
Yeah.
And it's like, so what'll I do with the rest of my life? Well, I guess I'll hang out with these guys.
Sorry about that, Doc.
Oh no, it was, let's face it, I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth. Heel and I refer to each other as my brother.
Mm.
And it's not that corny, oh, my brother. It's not
Right.
like that.
No.
There's something much deeper to it than that. And Heel and I are joined at the hip. There's no two ways about it.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. Yeah, Doc, definitely. Since we met, we click just like brothers.
Yeah, I mean, he when I see him, is, hey, brother, brother.
Let's eat camarones.
Wow. Yeah. I mean,
Doc loves food.
Kathy is sitting here listening, thinking, how much stuff do I have to take to Mexico?
it's the musical collaborate. I mean, that connection comes through in the music, because the music that you guys have made together and continue to make together and will continue to make together, of course, is really incredible. And oftentimes I found in my experience of presenting music or producing shows or records or what have you, that it's yeah, those people that really have a relationship both on and off the bandstand, and really have a camaraderie and a friendship and deep respect and affection for each other as friends and what have you, really does translate into some magical moments on the bandstand, I think.
Well, there's a lot of layers to it, and maybe Heel can explain to you how it was that one of the last things that I did before leaving the United States, or the thing I did the most of, was playing with symphony orchestras.
Mm.
And a soloist, conductor, and all of that. And when I started playing with these guys, the next step was to have the music all arranged to play with symphony orchestras, and boy, oh boy, we had some brilliant concerts with some really great orchestras.
Mm.
And
Oh,
I hope there'll be some more of that. We have a standing invitation with the Maine Symphony Orchestra in Mexico City. And I think it's about time that we call that guy up and say, hey, do you still want us to drop by? And we'll go and do it.
yeah.
Yeah, with Guillermo Prieto, right?
See,
Wow.
and that name Prieto, I mean, a lot of people can say, did you just say what I think? Prieto, he's the premier conductor in Mexico.
In the Philharmonic of Mexico, yes.
Wow. Amazing.
Yeah,
Well,
he just said anytime you want to come and do a concert with us, you just give me a call personally and it'll be done.
amazing. Well, I think hopefully we're getting past this pandemic to where you know concerts are happening again in places, and hopefully that's you know will be the case in Mexico soon as well, and things we can all get back to doing what we love to do as far as that goes. That would be incredible.
The important thing about that was to come out on the other side of the pandemic in one piece.
Yes.
And Kathy took care of me. She wouldn't even let me out of the house.
Right.
And for about a year, you know, we were just here cooking and playing with the dogs and all that kind of stuff. And,
Yes.
so I think the time is coming to get out with some orchestras, and certainly the one in Mexico City. And one thing we know about it, we have a great program.
Mm,
Yeah.
definitely. Speaking of programs, should we let's share some more music while we're at it for everyone. Do you want to say a few words about El Faro? Heel from this will be from El Ritmo de la Vida.
Oh, that composition comes from a little, you know, few bars from Schubert's Serenade, the melody. And then we developed the whole thing like more flamenco style with, you know, all the Doc taste on the trumpet and carrying the song to a different kind of, you know, direction totally. But yeah, I love the way that moves around. I don't know if you agree, Doc.
Yeah, well, I want to make sure that you understand that Heel was the one that saw to it that what I would play with him and
Mm.
wrote out the parts for me. And I don't know, it was one of the greatest experiences in my life
Wow.
to play with Heel and the guys.
That-
They're a classy bunch. They really make some gorgeous music.
Well,
And it ain't over yet.
no. All right.
Um,
We're gonna listen to this track now, this beautiful piece as played by Hill with Doc and the San Miguel Five. Here we go. Oh, sorry.
Beautiful trumpet.
Exquisite, just so beautiful. The music, the whole thing, Hill, both of you, I mean, everyone in the group.
There's a lot more that comes after that.
Yeah, I know, in the interest of time, I would love to play the whole track, but your music can be, please, for those watching and listening, music is available, of course, online, and that again was a piece from the release El Ritmo de la Vida. Prior to that, we played something from the release En Mi Corazón. I also, before, I know we're slowly running out of time here, rather, but I did have some tracks I could still play from your most recent release, which was Oblivion, which I'd love to get to. But before I get to that, I'd love to ask Hill, what were some of the things that you can share that with respect to how working with Doc has impacted and influenced your music and your approach to music now, having had this fruitful, incredible working relationship?
Yeah, well, it's so many things that I learned from Doc. One of the things is I have to behave. In home and outside home. No, but I mean, I learned a lot. One of the greatest things that Doc told me once is you gotta play like it's gonna be the last day in your life, that you're never gonna play again. So since that, my playing changed totally, because I had to focus every day, and even every single note, and the way he practiced every day for hours, the consistency it makes a difference in your playing, and the concept of how you can tell a story to the people when you play in a solo, or where you're playing some classical music or some standards or any kind of music. The way to see the music is the most valuable thing that I learned from Doc. My friend, you're a great teacher. It's an honor for me.
Well, I think we all learn together. It was the case with all the right people showing up in the right place at the right time, and nobody had an attitude about, well, I'm going to be the boss, or I'm better than you are, or well, we should play this. No, it just fell together. Sitting in a restaurant in San Miguel de Allende would play 3-4 nights a week, and this went on for several years. So it gave us a really good chance. The music became much more organic.
Right. That's incredible, because nowadays that is an incredibly rare thing, for regardless of who the artist is and the band, to be able to perform so many nights of a week in, week out, for a number of years. That's just unheard of, unfortunately, generally speaking, in these days. I mean artists generally, they'll tour for as far as jazz musicians and instrumental music and what have you, and not just instrumental music, but of course with vocals too. But it's generally, they're short tours, and then everybody also has, goes on and works in other projects and stuff. So that speaks a lot to why, when you hear this music, it does sound so special. And there is, you can just hear, for lack of a better word, I said it earlier, again, I'll say it again, the magic of this musical relationship, and how the music comes through. It is a deep connection that clearly is there between everyone in the group, and that really shows, and it's really conveyed on the record too. I can only imagine. I'd love to be there in person in San Miguel to play or elsewhere when you play, and I will be maybe at this when you guys do the performance with the orchestra in Mexico City or something. But it's clearly magical. And you will be coming, as I said, there will be tour dates in the future later in the summer. That's in the works. So for those interested, which you all should be, that will be happening and be announced, I guess, in the not too distant future, because I understand there's plans for August.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Are you talking about the thing up in
Saratoga Springs, Cafe Lina.
yeah. It's where the racetrack is, Saratoga.
yeah.
And a really, he's like not just a good friend, he's a mentor.
Mm.
Kevin Eubanks.
Kevin Bright.
Kevin Bright, excuse me.
Yeah.
I do know a Kevin Eubanks,
Yes.
but he had nothing to do with that.
Another family. Yes.
But he was the missing piece.
Mm.
Kevin was, and he insisted that we get together, and I don't know, honey, want to shed a little light on that? How that all?
I don't know how that happened.
Well, it happened right under our noses,
Right.
and but he recognized our music
Mhm.
immediately when he heard it. You know,
Yeah.
and he included that in the film, and
Yes. Incredible.
I've always had a feeling that we need to get as many of the original people together. We're all still alive, playing about like we did, and make a film
Yeah.
of our different experiences, places that we played, and it is extremely personal,
Mm.
you know, really.
That's
And I think it's, as I feel the end of the road approaching, that's the one thing I'd still like to do, is to get together with the guys, and,
yeah.
because it's better than the dog.
Right. No dog. No worries about the dog. And we're dog lovers here too, so no problem. Anyway, with respect to that, and talking more music, let me just before we also conclude, is share something from your last recording, actually, Oblivion. And why don't I, when I ask you, Hill, do you have a preference between Oblivion or Minor Swing? I have both queued up here. Not to put you on the spot, but I'm putting you on the spot.
Well, I think a Minor Swing is really more up tempo. It's nice.
Okay.
You know, the whole album is beautiful, but you know.
Yes. Oh, it's beautiful, incredible. Okay. All right. Okay. So Dealer's Choice is Minor Swing. Here we go.
And Heel,
Yes.
explain who the composer is.
The composer, yeah, from Minor Swing is
Yeah.
a famous guitar player, Django Reinhardt, one of our favorite musicians all times. That's why we decided to play that, and Nuage as well, and a few others, among other songs. Our French composer from Belgium.
Yeah. All right. So here we go with Minor Swing. Wow.
Here we go. Great solo, dog.
Yeah. Wow. It's a,
Well, the least you could say about it is we sure did have a good time.
yeah. There you go. That's a beautiful way to conclude this program. And we hope you all had a good time listening and enjoying this conversation with Doc and Hill today. We again want to thank NJ Pack and TD Bank for sponsoring the jazz series in this program. So please go check out their music. As said, Hill and Doc and the San Miguel 5, which you can find also either on also Hill's website, as well as on Doc's website, and of course everywhere that you find music and stream music. So check that out, and then look out for future tour dates coming later in the summer and hopefully beyond with this incredible group. And certainly don't miss an opportunity to catch this fantastic group live. Gentlemen, it's been such an honor and a privilege to host this program with you today, and I can't thank you enough. So I hope to see you and hear you again very soon, and stay safe and be well, and thank you.
Thank you so much. This is the best ever happened after the pandemic.
All right.
Good to see you, Doc. I'm waiting for that Italian food that you're cooking.
You're gonna get it too, baby.
All right.
Thank you, Seth.
Thank you.
Thank you to everybody in the NJ Pack. Thank you so much.
Thank you.